I grew up in a very low income, like I grew up in public housing. So I grew up in a very low income setting and environment. And just, learned early on that, I mean, we're in America, right? And, if you have a good attitude and work hard and stuff and surround yourself with the right people and all of that, I think if you just have that like relentless optimism and work ethic and determination, resourcefulness, faith, etc., you can reach great heights. You can accomplish amazing things. And I've just overcome a lot of challenges in my own life, personally and professionally.
Man of Mastery episode 38 with John Cain, serial entrepreneur, founder of Relentless MV. All right, guys, welcome or welcome back. I really super appreciate you guys being here and hope I can continue to just bring you incredible stuff that I discover, find that really works for me. It's all about figuring out, what gets you to that next level, gets you out of the rut, takes you forward in progress. And whether that's a book, a product, a service, a philosophy, an idea. In this case, John is kind of all the above packaged in an event that he runs, and you've heard me talk about because I've gotten so excited about it. Relentless MV, something happening in Martha's Vineyard every summer, coming up again summer of 2020. So much so to the point where I wanted to get John on the show, hear more about his background, his passions, what drove him to create this event in the first place, and what's so unique about it. So that's the topic for today. And without any lengthy wind-up, let's just jump right in with John and hear about it right from him himself. All right, guys, I am super excited today to have on with me the founder, the head, the curator of an event that you guys have heard me talking about, Relentless MV. John Cain, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Michael. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, man, I've been looking forward to this. I know you guys have something really special going on out there. Tell me, let's start right into it with Relentless MV. Tell me about your mission, what's unique about this event. Let's just start with that, and then we'll go a bit more of the backstory. I'm so excited about it. I want people to know right away. Tell me about Relentless MV.
Absolutely. Yeah. Got so much to say. Yeah, it's a complete passion project of mine. I think, you and I have talked. It's one of these things I wish I could work on it all day, every day. But basically, it's, the official sort of mission statement is to empower change makers. And the way I define change makers is, maybe you want to change, yourself. Maybe you want to change your business. Maybe you want to change your community. Maybe you want to change the world, right? People with goals, typically big ones who are ambitious. And, I feed off of that. I like to be around that. I think, A players like to be with A players. And so we're trying to create an event that really empowers these chain makers. So that's sort of officially, but really it's an event that just, aims to bring amazing people together in a really unique way, really fun way. And it leads to, amazing connections and outcomes for everyone that attends. That's what we saw last year. And it's just something special about just bringing together maybe like-minded people or just a lot of positive, ambitious people who, want to learn, want to develop, and want to help others. That's part of the key. Really want to help others, learn, develop, and grow, right? And amazing things come out of that. So it's just really an event that's supposed to be very unique, a lot of fun that people just get a lot out of and hopefully get, and I always say this, get really exponential return on their time and on their money, which those are two things, I think we take very seriously, right? Time is the most precious of all like resources. And, people have a lot of competing interests with their money. So we take that really seriously and want to develop something that is just really unique. And, people leave the event saying, this is one of the best experiences of my life.
I really like that you've got that service aspect to it. The part of the mission is looking for people who are there to empower change in themselves, but really in service to helping others. So this is this is an event in June on Martha's Vineyard, which is a pretty unique location in itself. So just
Hmm.
tell me a little bit more about the location where you host it, because I think this leads us into what your backstory, and I feel like you're living the dream here, and I want to know more about that. So just tell me where you are for this event.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So the location is a big part of this. It really is, you know. And Martha's Vineyard is a very special place. It has a lot of cachet, I think. It has, people are sort of brand recognition. Folks have heard of it, and for good reason. It's a place it's an island in Massachusetts that is sort of like, I like to say, it's almost frozen in time. Like, so much nature, great beaches, great hiking trails, six adorable little towns. One of them's a fishing village, another is just like a quintessential New England town. There's great shopping, there's great restaurants, there's great art galleries. It's a very family friendly place. You see folks like walking down Main Street, licking ice cream cones, that sort of thing. There's a carousel that's the oldest carousel in the country. Um, and there's just a lot to do, but it's also laid back, and there's not a stop. People are shocked. There's not one stoplight on this entire island. There's not a stoplight. There's no chain restaurants or basically chains. You're not going to see a Starbucks in Massachusetts, where I'm at right now. Home of Dunkin' Donuts, right? That's
Right,
where
right.
kind of it started, and you can just throw a rocket in directions and hit one. But no Dunkin' Donuts, and no chains really. So it's just a beautiful, special, unique place that folks just really enjoy coming. I have a special history with it. I've been going there for over 35 years. I got engaged there. I got married there, and ultimately, after I sold my last company, I bought an inn and restaurant on the vineyard, and so that's the location. It's basically it's a beautiful, serene, basically farm and inn. It's on 8 acres in the woods, um, in a town called West Tisbury, and it's a property with a lot of woods and gardens and lawns, pool, hot tub, and it's basically a restored farmhouse from the 1700s. And the event is held outside and inside. Outside, we have this big, beautiful, we call it the Great Lawn. We put up a tent, this really like fancy Sperry tent. And, if you go to the website, you can see some images of it. But that's where the keynotes are. So, I like to tell people this is your anti-conference. Like, a lot of folks go to like a ballroom in a Marriott or Hilton, and that's fine in a city. But this is really about a totally different location that is like connecting you with nature. It's very scene. You're sitting under this tent and you're hearing the birds chirp, and it's just a really lovely, special, unique place to sit there and listen to keynotes. And then the experiences we have, and we can get into the format, but we have all these crazy epic experiences which are designed to kind of push you and help you grow, and are a really effective way to network and bond with other attendees. And those are sort of held around the property or around the island, or inside the inn if it's a workshop. So sort of in summary, it's the vineyard is just a beautiful, special place, and our location is kind of on this like restored farmhouse from the 1700s that sort of like makes you just kind of it makes it easy to unplug and really focus. And you're on an island, so we heard that a lot last year. It's just all of that sort of helps folks really unplug and focus on the event and the people that are there.
Right. Right. Yeah, no, I'm super excited about the nature, the connection to nature aspect of it. I feel like from talking to you, and there's a number of reasons we're having this conversation, but I feel like from talking to you, I can already envision what it looks like. It comes through in your passion. And so, I mean, some of the reasons we're having this conversation, I have trouble now even remembering exactly how you and I got connected. Was it you connected me with Laval and Patrick, or Patrick with you, or I don't even recall at this point. But we've had several conversations. You and I kind of hit it off right away. We ended up we scheduled this call to record a podcast for an hour. And you and I ended up talking for 45 minutes off air beforehand, and probably could have gone a lot longer. So one of our challenges is going to be just time boxing this conversation, because your infectious passion for what you're doing comes through. And what another reason we're having this conversation is because, you sold me, and it wasn't a sales pitch. It was just like, this is something so unique and so interesting and maybe so powerful that I want to be a part of it. I jumped in, I registered for myself and for my wife and my son. So as a family, we're looking forward to going, and I am so excited about it. I want to share it with others. And one of the things that struck me, one of many, is and so let's talk about the format a little bit. I think we've all been to these kind of events that maybe have even an amazing setting, and they all aim to have incredible value and incredible guests. And you hook up with a keynote, and you walk away a day later or 3 days later super pumped up, and then you get home and there's a little bit of a letdown of like, so I kind of heard it, but now I'm not really sure like how to put it in motion. So what I'm really looking forward to experiencing, and I haven't been to too many events like this, is my understanding of the format is there's a big experiential component to it. So
Yes.
Maybe Patrick's going to talk to us about fear management and the mental and physical manifestations of that. And then, hey, that all sounds great until I got to go jump in the ice bath and do Wim Hof breathing, those kind of things. And, maybe somebody's not into that. Like my wife's probably not in line for that, but there's probably something else that she's in line for experientially, plus the diversity of the style of guests. I think you tend to line up. So yeah, tell me a little bit more about the format.
Yeah. Oh my God, that was a great summary and segue. Thank you for saying all that. And again, I'm so excited you're coming and you're bringing the family. Yeah. So, I'm obsessed with trying to, create unique, businesses or experiences. And I'm a serial entrepreneur. Excuse me. And, this event is inspired by events I've been to. And I tried to sort of take different aspects of different events and kind of create like a mega event, in my eyes, right? And I try to stay true to that. If I think this is something really unique, really amazing, that delivers tremendous value to people, then, then obviously I can share that passion, and that's what it's about. And it will resonate with other people. But yeah, so how did we make a unique event? What I say is this structure, and what makes it unique is this structure, which basically it's 3 parts. So part 1 are keynotes, right? So we get world-class keynotes, expert keynotes. Patrick and Lavelle are amazing people. If anyone's listening to this podcast and hasn't listened to those, make sure you do right away. And follow those people. They're amazing. I've gotten to know them very well. They're amazing people that have done amazing things, and they're really great guys too. Great guys. So basically, we have these keynotes with experts like that. This year we'll also have Ryan Holiday. A lot of people know him. He's written a bunch of books, bunch of bestsellers. Obstacle is the Way, I think, is maybe his most famous one. Stillness is the Key. He's unbelievable. So he'll be there, and some others. So we have these amazing keynotes, and then that's part 1. Part 2 are these experiences, this experiential component. We call them epic experiences because we really try to create something that's epic and just kind of crazy and different that you might not be able to buy or do anywhere else, that you're going to get a lot out of. So the epic experiences. And the third are these, like, we call them rocking dinner parties. So at night we have, just these amazing dinner parties that are just a lot of fun, a great opportunity to unwind, blow off some steam, and, and bond with the other people there, right? Talk about the day, talk about what you did, talk about that ice bath, and whatever. So that's the structure. The epic experiences to dig into those, and I think I alluded to it, but they're designed to help you grow, right? They're designed to push you. They're designed, as you said, you go to a lot of these events, you hear a bunch of keynotes, and like that's awesome. I'm the guy that's sitting there taking a million notes and learning a lot and referring back to those notes. And maybe there's a cocktail party and you're bonding with other people and you get some numbers or emails or whatever. And that's great. You get a lot out of that, but we wanted to go much, much deeper. And so these experiences are designed to push you, help you grow, and help you develop frameworks, right? In the case of a lot of these workshops, frameworks that you leave with that you can apply to your life. And one example, and you and I talked about this, is, one of our keynotes is this lady, Dr. Ala Mirabat, and she's one of the most impressive human beings you'll ever meet. She's top 20 most influential women in the world. She advises, heads of states all over the world. She's advised Richard Branson and Bill Gates. She's going to deliver a keynote, and she also, one of the experiences, she does a strategic planning session. And I sat through it last year, and I can't even tell you how much I got out of it, but she really helps you map out your goals and go really deep. And when you think you've gone deep, you realize you have to go like 10 levels or 100 levels deeper and get more specific. She kept saying, if it's not, I don't want to steal her thunder, but if it's not specific, it's not going to get done. And I agree wholeheartedly, Michael. Like I just do. I think you need SMART goals, right? That are really specific, time-based and all that. And then you need, I think this is where most people, like, this is where maybe they fail and why they don't achieve their goals. You need a super specific plan. And again, like, you need someone pushing you. Is that specific enough? Like, is it granular enough? And I think, that session was really illuminating when folks realized that. And we had folks that, developed their goals every year for decades, and they realized, wow, it wasn't getting detailed enough. So, to your point, you leave with an event, you're all jazzed up. It's like, next what? Now what? What's next? With this, hopefully you're leaving with a bunch of frameworks and lessons and skill sets that you can apply to your life and get real value, whether it's, joy or meaning or financial or whatever. So you can see the epic experiences on the website. I mean, there are a ton. There's the ice bath, for folks that want to do physical stuff. There are the workshops, like I mentioned, that folks that don't want to. I like to say, choose your own adventure. You know what I mean? Like, choose your own adventure. Some folks, want to go and explore the island and do physical stuff, and some want to do, more intellectual, workshop type of things. One crazy experience, an amazing experience we had this year is Lance Armstrong is coming, and he's doing a bike ride around the island. So the island is just so beautiful and picturesque. You ride your bike or drive your car and you see all these these cute towns and beaches and stuff, but farms and stone walls. It's like very, again, frozen in time, quintessential New England, really pretty, really charming. And, he's going to have, lead a bike tour around the island for folks that like that sort of thing. I'm not sure everyone's going to be able to keep up. We'll see. So it's probably not for everyone, but that's pretty epic and crazy. And I think will be a ton of fun and something that, it's almost a bucket list. Some of these things are bucket list items, and there are so many of them. So it's really a choose your own adventure. And, there's so many others. We did the biplane rides last year. We're doing those again. That was really popular. We have Amelia Rose Earhart, who completed their around the world trip, and she's kind of the host for that and takes folks to the airplane, and it's this exposed cockpit, kind of Snoopy plane that goes around the island, and it's just crazy. It's beautiful to see, kind of get that bird's eye view, and a ton of fun and something just different. So there's that, and we have an aerialist. Folks want to learn how to be an aerialist and hang upside down and do all these crazy things. We have a woman who, I won't go through all of them, but you can see them on the website. But we have another, a lady who is this award-winning author who became a professional poker player, and she's teaching folks how to play poker. We have a professor from Brown that runs the Center for Entrepreneurship there. He is a fantastic guy, and he's been teaching this class. Actually, he wrote a book on it called The Entrepreneurial Process, and it's a 3-step process to starting a business. And he's going to be, teaching part of that. All kinds of crazy stuff. There's sailing and fishing and paddleboarding and just a lot of stuff. But it's all designed just to have a ton of fun and form deep relationships with people, because we've all gone to these, networking events where, you're wearing a name tag and you're going around for an hour and you're walking up to people shaking their hand. That's fine. But I'm very friendly, but I don't like that. I don't like that structure. I don't like that format. To me, it's much more effective and meaningful for everyone to, go out fishing together, and you're talking to someone for 2 hours, or out on a sail, or whatever it is. It's just a much more effective way to form those relationships. A lot more fun, and it's a lot more effective. So it like accomplishes so many goals, and so that's kind of the summary of the Epic experiences, and that's included in the ticket. People can kind of sign up for multiple ones. There are some that are there's a premium, but most are just included with the ticket, and that's something we got a lot of great feedback on last year.
Yeah, I know you potentially have some other stuff that is either still in the works or maybe coming along as sort of some surprise stuff. So we won't
Yes.
ruin that surprise
Yes.
today. I think if I got to pick one thing I don't like about your event, John, it's that I got to choose between the Epic experiences, and maybe I can get a couple of them in, but it's gonna be real tough to choose. And if this thing is ultimately about, and I want to, we'll use this to segue to maybe a little bit more of your backstory, because I think you described to me originally about I think you called it your passion for relentless self-improvement. So
Absolutely.
I'll just make a bit of a smart comment here that, if this thing's about self-improvement, I don't know who can keep up with Lance. Maybe, and I don't know that Lance has the ability to slow down. So maybe this is his self-improvement opportunity to dial back his own intensity and live at the pace the rest of us do.
God.
But yeah, with that, tell me a little bit more about your background as a serial entrepreneur and personally, and that passion for self-improvement that created this event.
Yeah, I mean, so I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I went to a school out here called Babson College, which is known for entrepreneurship, and so that was always my goal, my end game. It took me, like a decade to get there. I worked in corporate finance in New York City and down in Florida. I lived abroad, Europe, South America, but basically spent a decade in corporate finance, and constantly looking for opportunities to start a business, develop a lot of business plans. Finally, I made it happen. Maybe like 8 years ago, just over 8 years ago, and started my first company. Grew that, scaled that up to be pretty. We scaled it up. It was pretty large. Learned a lot. Total roller coaster. Epic highs, epic lows. Learned how to build a culture. Hire software engineers and build offshore call centers and all of this stuff, raise money and all these things. It was tremendous. 10 lifetimes of learning. And I exited that and then basically bought this inn on the vineyard because it's just, and I sort of, it was a very serendipitous, like I stumbled on the property online and went and saw it and fell in love. And it's just so charming. It's a hidden gem. And I saw all the potential. And so it's been a couple years. We renovated the whole thing, branded the restaurant. We have a fantastic restaurant, like an amazing chef, amazing food. That's another cool thing about this event is that part is it includes all this like great food and meals. So serial entrepreneur, now focused on this inn and restaurant and Relentless, which I think are sort of three businesses with different goals and different business plans. So it's keeping me very busy, but, where the Relentless, kind of comes from is, I've always been like a big believer in having the right mindset and being optimistic and being determined, and not, working hard and just being relentless. I grew up in a very low income, like I grew up in public housing. So I grew up in a very low income setting and environment, and just, learned early on that, we're in America, right? And, if you have a good attitude and work hard and stuff and surround yourself with the right people and all of that, I think if you just have that like relentless optimism and work ethic and determination, resourcefulness, faith, etc., you can reach great heights. You can accomplish amazing things. And I've just overcome a lot of challenges in my own life, personally and professionally. We already could get into everything, but really the mindset got me forward. And so I don't have a high tolerance for people complaining or people being lazy. It's like, just go get after it. Go get after it, and you can always change your attitude to have a positive attitude. Right, that's in your control. Right, it's in your control to work hard and stuff, and it's in your control to like be relentless. And just that mindset, being relentless, carried has got me. I think I've accomplished things because of it, just because of that. And so I'm just a big believer in it. So I think at the heart of relentless, it's about that. And I will give a shout out to, like, if anyone follows Tim Grover, he was Michael Jordan's trainer, trained all these elite athletes, amazing guy. He spoke at Relentless last year. Huge fan of his. He wrote a book called Relentless, Good to Great to Unstoppable, and an amazing book, bestseller. And that is sort of where the name originally came from too. It resonated with me because of everything I just said, and I thought, this is awesome. And he was the first person actually I called to come to the event. He was a big keynote last year, and a terrific guy. And he's all about that mindset, that mental toughness. And I don't know, I just feel like that can get you really, really far. That's a key component. So it's something that I've used in my own life, and now I'm trying to create this event around that, based on that.
Right. Yeah, that's a huge piece of the foundation puzzle. I really, yeah, from what I focus on across a number of areas of life on this podcast, mindset obviously is a big piece of it. And, I love to say getting
Hmm.
after it. So I love hearing you say that. But
Oh,
something,
that's funny.
and I said, hey, John's, living the dream. You made that, maybe that gear shift from your last type of business endeavor to this one. And I think of it as, from what I know of you so far, and what I know of the event, is really, it seems like you've stepped back and figured out what really drives you. And that mission for Relentless, I think, is right in line with your own mission, and you're following a passion. And that's something that I think it seems to be fairly unique for people to really find their passion or their calling
Hmm.
early in life. At least in this country, we've gotten so structured about, you do this, you do this, you do this,
Yeah.
you do this.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
not enough of it may be about the chance to uncover what your passions and what your purpose are in life. So I think it's, and there are
Absolutely.
just, myself included, there are a number of people that come to that crossroads, and they finally come to a place where,
Hmm.
if they hadn't previously, they have the opportunity to sit back and figure out what that might be. So that's something that I try to share guest stories to inspire. Like your story and your event inspires that. And it's also interesting to me that used the word serendipitous. So when I
Hmm.
started this thing almost a year ago now, the very first guest I had on was a buddy of mine who started a brewery of what's starting to be a growing niche, but it was very unique that
Hmm.
he started, which is a hard kombucha combined into an alcoholic
Hmm.
drink
Hmm.
beverage. And he described on and off air to me a number of things that happened in growing his business. It's growing like crazy. So I don't think you have it all the way
Hmm.
out in Massachusetts yet, but you will. And he kept using the word serendipitous as they
Hmm.
ran out of space. Serendipitously, a larger space across the way opened with the same landlord, and they were
Hmm.
able to expand. And then they hit a financial barrier, and then this happened. And he used that word several times, which to me was is sort of, when he had his eyes open and a focus on where they wanted to go, but that
Hmm.
mindset and that openness to opportunity, somehow the path suddenly opened. And I think that is the case for a lot of people. Once we get in that right mindset, these doors, these paths, these futures start to open. So I love hearing you talk about that. And I know one of the things that is opening up for you personally, not just the business, is your family life, fatherhood. Now you've got two children, and one of them just 2 months old. So tell me about a little bit about that journey into fatherhood, how that fits together with the passion that you're living out there on Martha's Vineyard for part of the year through Relentless MV, and just how's that going so far? 2-month-old baby, right?
Yeah, two months. Oh man, it's amazing. It's great. It's obviously crazy and chaotic. Especially an infant disrupting your sleep and your day all day long. But yeah, so two kids, 9-year-old daughter and 2 month son. We're done. two, two is good for us. And it's. I mean, it's amazing, right? I mean, it's such an opportunity when you have kids, right? If you're a parent, it's such an opportunity to learn things about yourself, right? And to develop, be introspective and to develop things and, find those areas you have to develop. And, I think it's important. I mean, with kids, I mean, my wife and I joke, like, I think it's important to be like honest and realistic. Like, kids are really hard and they suck like half the time, right? I mean, they're selfish, they're difficult, whatever it is. But obviously, on the whole and net, they're amazing and great. And it's important to be honest about that like kids are just really difficult and hard, half the time or whatever it is. But, I wouldn't trade anything for it in the world. And I absolutely love it. It's definitely, it makes it more difficult. I know women feel this, especially like managing your career and the professional side when you have a family. It's hard, but my wife and I think it's important to have a partner where you have this team approach. You're trying to, divide and conquer a bit and find a little flow there. So we try to do that. And then just laugh. I mean, there are times where with this 2 month old where he's crying nonstop. You don't know why. You're trying to feed him. You're checking the diaper, right? Like you're trying to figure it out. And then the dog comes along and like she's like barking or digging into the bed or something crazy, and we look at each other and just start laughing. We just start laughing because it's just ridiculous. So I think that's important, right? Just to embrace the roller coaster, embrace the nonsense that comes along with it sometimes. And God, remember like how fast, like how short life is, and how fast the kids grow up. I mean, your son's going to be 12 this weekend. I mean, the 12 years, I'm sure you snap your fingers, and that is so true. And I think what helps put it in perspective, you hear this sometimes, like when I mean, just last week I was having lunch with somebody, and he says we're talking about the newborn and everything, and he's like, okay, just remember you have 18 summers, and that's what you have, right? And then they're out of the house and they're doing their own thing, and you don't see them, as much. And so with our 9-year-old, half are gone, right? And so it just happens so fast. And if you start figuring out how much time you spent with them versus how much time you have left with them or will see them and all of that, and my wife, I tell her this and she's like, I don't want to hear it. Like that's depressing. And it's just hard. I mean, a lot of this is maybe just ties to stoicism and philosophy. And, we have Ryan Holiday coming, who does all the stoicism stuff. It's important to remember this, right? And remember that we're all going to die and life's short, it goes by quick. It's just important to remember that. And so, control what and react to that and embrace your life and enjoy your life and find as much meaning and purpose. And don't take your kids for granted and try not to waste, you don't have to go crazy about, managing every minute, but try not to take them or the time for granted and waste it, right? Like, embrace it. And so that's kind of our philosophy. And I just, I just love spending time with them, and I don't take it for granted. And I really try to appreciate it. And you've seen it, Michael, like when you have a kid, I mean, God, they grow up so fast, and it makes you realize it's almost like a mirror. It makes you realize how fast time goes. So it's an opportunity to really embrace that and try to just live life to the fullest. That's kind of my philosophy on it.
Oh yeah, for sure. And it's funny you mentioned the 18 summers. I think part
Yeah.
of the challenge that a lot of us have is is, your heart's in the right place, but it's easy to sort of make that excuse of like, well, I'm super busy and I got this, and there's just the churn of
Mm-hmm.
life. And I've got
Mm-hmm.
a buddy, longtime buddy that I just caught up with recently after years. He built a very successful business over in Europe and had the fortune to exit that and retire at about 40 years old. And he's retired back to British Columbia, wife, 4 kids, and all the freedom in the world. Now he plays tennis, plays golf, involved in some angel activities and board, and the rest of the time it's about being a husband and a father and shooting over to watch Liverpool games. And nonetheless, it's like time can just blow by you with the kids if you let it. And so he actually mentioned something really similar as he sat down with his daughter, and I think he said something like, "Hey, look, we got 5 more summers or 5 more winters
Mm-hmm.
until you're
Mm-hmm.
off to school. So let's not let that
Exactly.
get by us. Let's literally
Exactly.
plan out what's on our list
Yes,
that we want to do,
exactly.
and let's book
Exactly.
those." And you said earlier, like, make a
Yep.
plan. So they sat they
Yes.
sat down and made almost like an annual plan with the kids.
Big fan of that. I'm a big fan of that. That's so funny that you just had that conversation with. I'm a big fan of that. I think that's exactly what you should do. Like, just be aware that the time of what time you have. And by the way, hopefully you have that time, right? Right. I mean, it's not guaranteed, obviously, by any stretch of the imagination. So I'm a big fan of that. That's awesome to hear.
Yeah, I mean, as long as we're around, we all have that time, as long as we make it. But if we don't make it, it's going to get away from us. I
Hmm.
really like what you said in terms of, I guess I sort of took it as, we talked off air a little bit about authenticity, and
Right.
people, it's always fun to talk about the success stories, and you look to those for inspiration. But yeah, you mentioned Ryan Holiday, who's going to be at your event. Obstacle is the way is one of his big ones, and it's all about, don't avoid the challenges. Those are the gift that give us the learning experience from failure. And you mentioned the introspection that comes with being a father. To me, that we've all got opportunities for failure in life and the choice to learn and apply from them. But parenthood, man, that's a whole nother level of not knowing what to do. Lots of hopefully smaller failures, and lots of learning about ourselves as much as it is about how to help our children.
God, it's so true. It's so true. I mean, and like, I think what I try to do, is, with the kids, like, yeah, I mean, my thing too is, I mean, I talked about having the right attitude, but that goes to that's part of my parenting, uh, sort of strategy or style or priorities or value system. With my daughter, right, for example, and I'm so lucky. This is such an amazing kid. Um, but I tell her, she'll get in a bad mood or get, pissy or lazy or grumpy or over something small or whatever it is. Look, you can control your attitude. You can control that. Like, so I don't have a high tolerance for like a bad attitude, and I want her to get in the habit of of mind shifting or whatever, right? Like, so I tell her, like, okay, you're upset, you're bad attitude. Look, sometimes it's warranted. Cry, whatever, and you don't have to run away from your feelings. But with kids, a lot of times it's small stuff, right? It's small stuff. They get into a bad mood quickly over something small, and I just tell her, look, like you have the ability to change your mind. Think of something positive, right? Go to a happy place. Turn on the music and dance. Like, shift your energy, like, and shift your attitude, and you can control that. So, for me, it's like that extends to the kids. Like, what, like, you don't have to be happy and have a great attitude all the time, but like, I do expect that you understand you can control your attitude, and it's good to have a good attitude, right? That's a healthy. That's going to lead you to places you need to go. It's that, and also just work hard. That's also something that you can control. So, with the kids, it's like, have a good attitude, work hard, and sort of, give them as much love as possible. I think that's the key ingredient. Um,
Yeah,
and
can't
then
go
and then a lot of it's
can't
out
go
of your
wrong there.
control, right? Right? And then you let them live their life.
give them some rope. That it's so incredible that
Mm-hmm.
you're working with her on that. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
myself, I think a lot of people don't really learn that such a valuable lesson until maybe a little bit later at some point in life,
So
that
true.
ability to disassociate from emotions and realize that you have a
Yeah,
choice and you can change it.
absolutely.
One of the
Absolutely.
things I was talking to my son about, and I think this might have even come from I think it's Dr. Ekman, who studied these micro expressions, and there was a show, um, or maybe Paul Ekman's the actor. I don't remember now, but it's all about studying the facial expressions and the muscles that are kind of the output of feelings and being able to interpret those. And ultimately, it was are people telling the truth or not? His whole thing is study of
Right.
lies and truth. But what I was talking to my son about is the face is sort of the output, if you will, in a lot of
Yep.
cases, but it's actually an input device as well. And he goes, "Well, what do you mean?" I go, "Well, think about it. Like sometimes you smile unconsciously
Exactly. Yeah.
because you're
Mm-hmm.
experiencing an emotion of joy or happiness, but the reverse works too. If you force yourself to smile, you make your muscles do that, it will affect your emotions. So it goes both ways."
Exactly. Exactly. That's such a great point. It's true, right? I mean, challenge yourself. You're in a bad mood. You're angry or whatever it is. Like just start smiling. You might look a little crazy at first. You might look at the Joker or stuff. I don't know, but really like force yourself to smile, right? Force yourself to smile, and it does start changing your mood. So yeah, I think it's like you again, like people need to, and look, that's the other thing as parents, right? I mean, I think I've learned a lot of things recently, or like, in my 20s, my 30s, whatever it is. I'm 41 now, but I try to share that with my daughter. And I mean, that's the idea, right? Is look, like, don't be like dad or mom. Like we learned that, it took us 30 years to learn that. Like, I want you to learn this now, like, and start planting the seed. And that's what you do as parents, right? You're trying to, you want your kids to have a better life than you and all that. And a lot of it is, emotionally and, and just learning things at a younger age and developing those soft skills and stuff at an earlier age. So um, I think it's great. I think it's great to talk to kids about trying to, manage their mood and mindset, and understand that they can choose their thoughts and everything. And then those thoughts lead to the emotions, etc. You don't have to go overboard, but it's good to plant that seed and kind of start helping them develop good habits, and it translates into everything, right? I mean, I just feel like if you have a bad attitude or bad habits, you're not gonna be a great student, or you're not gonna be someone that other folks want to hang around, and you're not gonna feel good, right? It's all connected, and it all really starts with the mindset, and the good news is that's in your in your control in large part.
Yeah, and none of us are going to have complete control over emotions all the time. It goes back to the
Right,
failures
right.
thing, but it's sort of like
Mm-hmm.
failing. Maybe having the awareness to fail fast and then correct course. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm 3 years or so ahead of you in terms of the age of my son and your daughter. And my he's right on the edge of preteen now. And so, in talking about the mindset stuff, we also talk about those emotions and those hormones and everything kicking in their teenage years that are going to get a little crazy in the brain chemistry. And so, yeah, he definitely still has, or is starting to have even more of those moments where he loses it a little bit, but that's going to happen. And it happens to us as adults too. But our goal is to help him with the understanding that he can recognize it as quickly as possible and then reel it in. So I don't know. Hey, I don't know if it's going to work. We haven't
Absolutely.
lived through his teen years yet, but I'm a few years ahead of you. I'll keep plowing the way and try to let you know.
Yeah, let me know. Exactly. Please do.
I will say though
Oh,
that I
man.
know you've been doing awesome about supporting and keeping up with my son doing his 2020 20 burpees a day challenge. So
Amazing.
you better warn your daughter. We're going to get her on the burpee program.
Yes. Oh my God. No, I'm not gonna warn her. It'll be funnier that way. I want it just to be a surprise. Uh, I love that idea. Yeah, we talked about it. He's amazing. I mean, that like I'm proud that he's not my son. I mean, it's crazy. Like it's just awesome, awesome seeing it, following him on Instagram, seeing him do the perfect challenge, and then seeing him get his friends involved. And it's like, again, back to the parenting thing, right? Isn't half of it like, you know, I mean, Chris Rock has some funny jokes about keeping, you know, your one job as a dad is to keep your daughter off the pole. So, I mean, you have these, that's like an extreme comical way of saying it, but you are trying to like keep them on the right path, and you're trying to keep your kids away from bad kids and, you know, kids that are going to corrupt them. And you want them to have good friends and good company and all that stuff. And it's just awesome to see your kid, you know, doing these great things, which they're just awesome. He's developing great habits, you know, great physical, you know, there's physical, obviously benefits. And he's bringing his friends into it. And they're so lucky, and their parents are lucky that their kid is hanging out with your kid. And, you know, and again, like that's, as a parent, like I feel like part of the job is to, you know, make sure that they're hanging around with the right kids in the right crowd. And you can't control that entirely, but like you can obviously put them in certain situations. And I think that's awesome. And he's following your lead, obviously. And so, you know, I think, you know, you're doing a great job setting an example and pointing him in the right direction. And it's inspiring me, you know, as a parent and everything. And so it's fun to watch that. And I see from following him on social that it's inspiring other people. And I'm just excited to keep following it. And it's like the dude's like gonna turn 12, and it's just gonna be so exciting to see, you know, where life takes him. And I know he's in great places.
Thanks, man. Yeah, he's rocking it, and yeah, I'll give my wife all the credit on that one. You never know as a parent in foresight if you're doing the right things, but
Right.
you know, in hindsight, I can only think that it's going to prove out that helping him with physical health and his relationships and his, you know, his mental
Mm-hmm.
awareness and discipline and you know, as you said, he's got a passion for sharing it with his buddies and trying to
Mm-hmm.
inspire them. And you know, who knows, maybe he becomes a coach because he seems to really like
Mm-hmm.
helping teach
Mm-hmm.
other kids to do what he's doing. So you never really know where it's going to lead. I don't know if we're creating a little bit of a monster, you know, because there is backlash, you know. It's like, Dad, did you do your burpees yet? You know, or Dad, you know, he told me the other day, he was like, that comment wasn't appropriate. And he actually said, he's like,
Oh
I'll be
my
the father.
God.
I'll be the father in this one, Dad. And that wasn't appropriate. Like, okay, you know what? You're
Oh,
right.
he's gonna coach you. You're gonna be his first client.
Yeah. Yeah. So
That's
he keeps
amazing.
us in line as much as the other way around.
That's so
But
good. That's so good.
you know, he gets excited about setting his own big goals, and I think we all feed off of each other in that sense of trying to continue to challenge ourselves. So you know, I mean, we talked a little bit about failure. I don't know if you have any particular failure and learn from failure and succeed out of failure stories you want to share about the business or personally. Love to hear it if you do. But and maybe that ties into whether it's relentless or otherwise. What's you know, what's out there on your horizon? What's been challenging for you, and what sort of, you know, I talk about BHAGs. What scary stuff, or we talk about Patrick Sweeney, you know, the fear guru. What scary stuff are you leaning into for 2020?
Yeah. Man, in terms of failures, like literally too many to count, right? Too many to count. So many. I mean, so many. And, you know, as an entrepreneur, obviously, and no one has a perfect record. And, you know, it's so true. And I mean, a lot of people talk about it now, but, you know, you just see the success or the outcome, right, of folks. And, you know, and people, I think, you know, they don't fully appreciate all the failures. I mean, you know, my last company, it was one of these entrepreneurial stories where, you know, I started the business. I borrowed $1,000 from my sister, and then, you know, we'll say 6 years later, the business is, you know, making, you know, generating tens of millions of dollars of revenue, and you know, and folks that are joining the company, you know, later on, they just see kind of so the success, and they don't see kind of those early years, you know, me sleeping on my sister's couch or my friend's couch, you know, work not paying ourselves, like just, you know, that side of it, just really humble. and it's just that was a roller coaster. And when you're an entrepreneur, it's a roller coaster. You have all kinds of near death experiences and all kinds of failures. There's so many. With Relentless, I think, one of the things we didn't do well is originally we were going to have this event, a couple years ago. It was going to be in September, so not June. Now, that was a failure for so many reasons. One is, people really want to be on the island. It's beautiful to be on the island, honestly, like almost all year long, other than like the dead of the winter. It's great. Spring, fall are great. Summer is really like the peak season, and it's great. And, so we were trying to do this in September, and people really want to make a vacation out of it, maybe, or a long weekend out of it, or they just want to be there in the summer. And so September wasn't smart. And then, we were going to do it in September, and we decided to start planning like 2 months before. So it wasn't nearly enough time. And we're advertising to people in the summer, and when everyone's on vacation. I'm laughing thinking about it now because it's like such a failure and so ridiculous. Wasted a ton of time, a ton of money. We were marketing, we were on billboards and we were on the radio, and we're doing all this stuff. It just failed. And we rescheduled the event, right? We learned and everything, got the advice. We rescheduled the event to June, right? So it was, the first one was last June. And the good thing is at that point, so now we were planning not 2 months in advance, right? But, whatever that is, almost 9 months in advance. And then we started planning 2020 as soon as 2019 ended. So that was a big failure. We learned from that. And now, we've been planning this, Relentless ends and we're planning the next one. And in terms of marketing, I think I'm a big fan of, Seth Godin, and he has a book called Purple Cow that is really, about putting, saving those marketing dollars, putting it into the product or the service and making it so amazing that you create these super fans that he calls them sneezers that start spreading the word to everybody. And that's what we've done. I mean, that's what we learned. So we, try to keep, minimize that, that marketing spend and put it into the event, into having awesome speakers and just an awesome experience. And we spend a lot of money on the event. So we invest it in the product, and then I think people just have a much better time. And the way we find and make sure we have a high quality attendee is it's a relationship driven approach. So we find great people and they spread the word. And so last year a lot of folks came, and they'll come back and they'll spread the word. And it's like a movement and a community that builds. And so that was probably a long answer to the failure question, but there was a big failure there. And luckily we've adjusted, and I think it's working well. Big goals for 2020.
Yeah.
Did you want to get into that, or do you want to dig into the failures more? I could talk all day about those.
Yeah, I want to hear about that. I just want to comment that I'm really glad you touched on something I think about a lot, which is that success I think of as a process rather than an event. And for people who are just kind of on the outside looking in, it looks like a point in time binary sort of thing where somebody started and it went from unknown, unsuccessful to known and successful. And you just don't see, unless you dig deeper or you find some way to get the transparency on it, you don't normally get perspective on all those reps that somebody had to put in to get there. Whether, think about it in sports, you think about it in business, you think about it, any area of life, getting better, succeeding is all about the repetitions. And mostly what that means is lots of failures. Like you said, more failures than you can count. So, thank you for emphasizing that point, that it's like, it is important to kind of look back at those failures because they really are the building blocks of the success.
You said that so well. Yeah, I totally agree. I think I've gone through it personally, professionally and everything. And I totally agree. And again, back to the parenting stuff, I always try to tell my daughter that, I try to tell her that, like, you just, it's putting in the reps, and and putting in the time. And I'm a big fan and believer in like the 10,000 hours and all of that stuff. It's just true. It's so much of it is just behind the scenes and putting in the time. And I mean, the good news is it can, if you're smart about it, it can definitely pay off, and it can pay off in big ways. But yeah, you got to realize that it's so much of it is not clear. We have this just like kind of a funny comment. I mean, we had this, and I say we, my wife and I and the family had this farm and inn on the vineyard, Lamberskova, where the event's held. And it's a beautiful place. It's such a nice place. And we're there all summer long, and we're meeting all people from all over the world, all over the country, all over the world. And we always hear this, oh, I always wanted to have my own inn. That's my dream one day. And oh my God, you're living the life and living the dream. And I mean, we joked about it earlier. And yeah, we love it. We do. We love it, and we appreciate it. It was very intentional and all of that, calculated. And it's on the whole and net, it's great. It's fun and it's awesome. But of course there are failures within that, and there are sacrifices, and most of it is not glamorous, right? And so someone will come into the restaurant on a Saturday night and have an amazing meal, and then, we'll bring them out to see the alpacas in the little farm area, and and they get like, oh my God, you're here every day. This is your life. And it's like, well, yes, but you're getting a little slice of it. And so it's obviously life is not like all perfect and not, roses, and like there's just so much failure or so much, non-glorious stuff that happens. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure people that you get comments all the time, I'm sure, and oh, you have a podcast. That's great. You're talking to interesting people. And yeah, that is great, but there's a lot of work that goes into it and a lot of time that goes into it, right? For you, and opportunity costs and stuff. And, so yeah, of course you have to understand that it's, there's always, if you peel back the onion, it's interesting.
Yeah, quick funny story for you, or you'll find it funny as somebody running an inn. But I think about, and hopefully this guy doesn't listen, or maybe I'm going to get blacklisted again. But I think about it as you got to lean into those failures and learn from them. If you just sort of ignore them, and as a business person, you want the feedback, right? Because that's how you're going to get better, and that's how you're going to figure out how to satisfy that customer next time, or deliver better value, or be of service in a more valuable way. Well, I went annual snowboarding trip with a buddy last year, tried a new lodge, and like some stuff went sideways, a roof leaked and et cetera. So I posted my honest review on Expedia. But my thinking is feedback, take the feedback, improve on it, do what you can. This wasn't like, hey, I'm never coming back here. This was like, hey, honest feedback. Hope you guys can improve on it. And I went to book the same place this year. Like, I want to take my business back there again. And the lady on the phone goes, hang on a minute.
Let you?
Yeah, the system wasn't letting her make a reservation. The owner had to come on the phone and go like, God. Hey, I got you flagged here because you put a bad review in last year.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Right? Like, instead of valuing that, you're using it in a punitive way.
Oh my goodness. That is so funny. I've never heard of anyone doing that. That is ridiculous. Yeah, no, I mean, we're all, I mean, yeah, like, of course, like, we want the feedback, and people oftentimes, and a lot of folks will leave reviews, or like, they might want to, they might not want to leave a review and say, look, let me just tell you, I don't want to leave, if you're around, you're talking to them, let me tell you. And they're nervous. I'm like, give me the feedback. Of course we want the feedback. The reason we're doing this is, to give everyone an amazing experience. At the end, we have something we call 10-star service. So we want to, like, if 5 stars the best or whatever, we want to go above and beyond for the clients. Again, your time, your money, like, you can't take that for granted. Like, you can't. Like, people have options and choices, and you want to deliver. And of course you want the feedback. And and look, most of the time it's fair. There are, oh my God, when you have an inn or a restaurant, I mean, oh my God, some people are just so unfair. And the bad part of the review system is that, I mean, the standard, like, someone will leave you a 1-star review for just like a very minor thing. And it's, right. And that's unfair because then it's there. But the majority of people are very fair. and are very lovely. And that's like literally like 99% of the people. But man, I don't know how you could be in business, like in any business, and not like want the feedback, and be able to. Of course, you need it. It's something that you want it. You need it to get better. And if you're not getting better, then you're not gonna have a successful business. So.
You need it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think so. You described running 3 businesses: the event, the inn, the restaurant. So all 3 of those are reasons I'm excited to experience it. But I threw you off track. Give me, let's spend just a minute on something scary or big or goal wise that you got on your horizon. And then I want to be respectful of your time. So we'll wrap up after that with just a little bit more about how to find you in the event.
Yeah. So, talking about BHAGs, and that's just, you and I, Michael, are on the same wavelength in so many ways. Originally, Relentless, a big part of it were these BHAGs. I wanted everyone to come with a BHAG. I love these moonshots, whatever you're going to call it, right? I love these BHAGs, these huge, obnoxious, audacious goals. Like, I love that. I love folks that are trying to change the world. And, I opened up Relentless last year, just welcoming everybody and thanking them and just saying, look, I'm told on a daily basis I'm crazy, right? I mean, I'm not, and I know I'm not, but as an entrepreneur and as someone who tries to have a vision and think big, it's great. You are told you're crazy. There are haters out there. You deal with that all the time. So we talked a lot about BHAGs, and that's definitely, an important part of Relentless too. I think are a lot of folks just have big goals and they want to meet other folks and collaborate with other folks, and so they can help each other reach them. And I'm sitting here thinking I have my whole plan for 2020 and my goals and everything, and I'm thinking, geez, I don't know if I really have any BHAGs for 2020, and geez, am I a hypocrite here? I have goals. I have very specific goals. On the personal side, I have my weight loss goal and a detailed. And it's aggressive and a detailed plan on how to get there. And on the business side, we talked about the inn and the restaurant. We have very specific financial goals, and they're aggressive, and there's a detailed plan to get there. And on Relentless, it's last year we didn't sell out. It was year 1. We came close. This year, the goal is to sell out, and we're on pace for sure to do that. We've sold a ton of tickets, way more than last year already. And that's exciting and encouraging. And so the goal is to sell out early. We want to sell out as early as possible. One thing that makes the event unique, I didn't talk about it earlier, but related to that is it's the intimacy. This is like a critical part of it. We basically cap it at 100, attendees. So that's an intimate event. And these speakers and the people who come, they'll fly in and out and do a keynote in Las Vegas in front of 10,000 people, right? Or somewhere else, in front of huge crowds of people. And you're never talking to them. You're never, getting to know them. And that's another thing about Relentless. It's intimate. So you have unprecedented access to, the folks that are there, other attendees and speakers. So our goal is to sell out, and we cap it at 100, 100 attendees. So everyone has this sort of like amazing experience that goes along with that intimacy. So that's a big goal there. And on the qualitative side of it is to create an even better experience than last year. Last year was great. It exceeded my expectations. I might have told you this story once, but like someone on the way out tried to pay more money because they felt guilty at how much value they got. And that is an absurd thing. That's crazy, right? Who pays more, tries to pay extra for the event on their way out because they felt guilty at how much value they had? But that's a testament to how much value was there and the experience. So the goal is to raise the bar and make it even better. And I feel really confident we're going to do that. We've learned learned from year 1, and there's lots of small things you can change, which we will. And that's the goal, is to sell out and have an even better experience. And then beyond that, it's to expand Relentless. So we talked about, you and I earlier talked about Chamonix, offline, but Chamonix, France, and we're going to bring Relentless to Chamonix, France next winter. And the idea is to kind of replicate this formula of, hosting this intimate event, right? For these change makers, people with big goals that want to help others, and host it in gorgeous locations and have this mix of these awesome world-class keynotes mixed with these epic experiences, right? This very experiential component that allows you to enjoy the location, right, where you're at, and then also grow and develop in other ways. And then, top it off with these like really fun, rocking like dinner parties. So that's sort of part of the vision, is to bring this to other locations, and so that's part of it. And that's all going to happen in 2020. So I'm cheating a little bit by my 2020 goals, because that's 2021 and 2022. But that's definitely something we want to do, is grow it and have it in, not just in the U.S., but bring it international, and just replicate that formula.
Okay. Yeah. I'm glad you touched on both of those. I just, from some of the things we have talked about and the way I've heard you describe it, I inferred that ultimately you had a vision for not just Relentless MV, but Relentless, fill in the blank, Relentless Global. And then, just also and I got to tell you, Chamonix for a future event, but just this year, Martha's Vineyard, there's so much that's excited me about this thing to keep talking about it and want to air this episode, but that got me signed up right away myself. Haven't been to Martha's Vineyard before. And that, that's definitely the location is huge as something unique about it. But I'm glad you also brought up the format, the intimacy, not only of the experiential piece of it, but just kind of the keynote, sort of keynote to participant ratio, that in the end, it is going to be a fairly small, fairly exclusive, fairly intimate type of event. There's only going to be 100 or whatever you cap it at. And I, you talk about just extreme value. I mean, yeah, for sure. But I think the person offering to pay more is indicative of, you could still charge a lot more and still be delivering extreme value for cost. I think about it like, there's a guy I talked to on one of my early podcasts. It's become a good friend of mine, Brian Dougherty, who founded this small batch watch company, American made watch, called Declan James Watch Company. And as we talked about it, and I'm kind of a watch guy, and I found out the quality of the Swiss components that he uses for his movement and things like that. I go, Brian, like between what you put in the inside and what comes through from you in the design and the outside, you're crazy to charge this price. Like, you got to charge a lot more. And maybe
Yeah.
he ultimately will. And I'm a big fan of your continued success in your business, and I hope ultimately you will as well. So I kind of look at this as, man, I want to get in early, and I think this has a heap of value now, but I could also see it costing a lot more later. So I'm all in.
Well, I mean, thanks for saying that, Michael. So I'll say, we did a survey last year. It just reminds me, we did a survey after the event, right, to the attendees, and one question was, what would you pay for this event, And basically, sort of what most people went was $3,500. So that's basically double the full price ticket right now. And we have like this early bird going and whatever. So my point was, like, that was last year, and this year there's a lot more value. So that was like from feedback from a survey. So that was good to see. That was really good to see. Yeah, it's just all about delivering that value. And I mean, I'm not going to name names, obviously, but I see who buys tickets and stuff, and I mean, there are some definitely like very influential like people. Like there are influential people that are coming as attendees. People that are tycoons. That sort of thing. That will be there. The Vineyard has a lot of folks own. Bill Obama's bought a house there, right, recently. I mean, there's just a lot of very, very like high profile or influential people that have summer homes there, and and some of them will be at the event. So that's good that it's attracting. And because, you talk about being in the room with people and stuff like that. And, it's nice. There will be a mix. There will be those people, and then there'll just be, folks that are just on that journey, and a good mix, I think. But the intimacy definitely is a key component for folks to get a lot out of it.
Yeah. And you can let people know I'm coming. I am definitely a tycoon of at least two feet around myself. I'm a tycoon of my immediate space for sure. like when I talked to Laval, Laval is extremely accomplished, right? And he talks about going on stage or appearing at an event like this. And he's like, what am I doing with these other speakers? I'm not even in that realm.
Oh my God.
And that's kind of how crazy. I feel going into the audience of this thing. But I'm super excited for, who the peer group ends up being, to hang out with you some more, to hang out with the guests you mentioned. So again, that's one of the reasons I really wanted to get more of this story out to our tribe. And I know you and I have talked about, we'll do some kind of a group discount for Man of Mastery folks that are interested in reaching out to you and attending. I hope we can fill up a decent percentage of that cap, and we might even do some kind of a meetup before or after for my crew.
Absolutely.
So what?
Absolutely. Let's make it happen.
Let's do it. What's the next step? How do people get in touch with you if they want to reach out to John and Relentless MV and make this thing happen?
Yeah. Well, thanks for that. And again, thanks for the opportunity. This was so much fun. The website, relentlessmv.com, you can buy your tickets. You can see the agenda. You can see the speakers, click through all those epic experiences. I recommend watching. There's a 2-minute video on there from last year that gives you a sense of it. So I think the website is a great place to start. And then following us on social. We're going to keep, put some content there, announce things there, maybe, so yeah, I would follow us on social, Instagram, and we're on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. I'd probably do, I'm partial to Instagram personally, Relentless MV and all those places. So I'd follow us on social, and I'd go to the website, and it's pretty comprehensive. It's a little tricky. Sometimes people have questions on getting to the island and where to stay. We put all that on the website. There's a lot of information on the logistics and getting there. When you get a ticket, you can add in a hotel room if you want. So to make it easier, you don't have to. But to make it easier for people, and you can chat, and there's ways to get in touch. And there's a phone number there. So I think the website's pretty comprehensive, and following us on social. And I know you're doing an awesome job with the podcast, and I'm sure your listeners are like just a great.
No, we'll keep it rolling. Hope some of them can make it as well. So at Relentless MV, relentlessmv.com. And, again, I've become a huge proponent of this thing, and I haven't even been there yet. I'm just that excited about it. So, I'd even offer if, and this has already happened, but any listeners that, want to kind of pick my brain more about why I'm going, or have questions about it, or, jump in and work out part of the group discount. People can feel free to reach out to me as well, and or Relentless MV. So John, I super appreciate the time, man, and more about the backstory, and wish you all the continued success in the world with the event, with the family, with the kids, and look forward to meeting you in person here in June.
Same to you, Michael. Thanks again.
Yeah, my pleasure. All right. Have a great day, John.
You too.
All right. Yeah. Super cool event. I'm really pumped about this one. I just think it's so unique what John is doing, what he's created, not only with the location and the type of guests he has and the format that keeps it so intimate and spans over several days, combines the experiential piece of this. All that in itself is different. But then you throw in the element of capping it at 100 people, keeps the crowd small, and it's all about not only experiencing the keynotes and then the activities around the keynotes, but really forming relationships with a high standard of people that are there in the crowd as your peer group, which really, the way John's doing it sounds like it's happening really almost by not so much invitation only, but almost. because it's all sort of networked into. So again, I think this one sounds like a blast. Looking forward to it. I will be there, and I know a few other people from the Mastery Tribe have already signed up as well. So if you want more information, reach out to John, check out his website, social media, follow to see what they're doing and the latest on keynote speakers. And feel free to reach out to me if you've got questions about what got me involved, what brought me and John together, the couple of guests, Laval and Patrick, that I've had a chance to meet on this podcast already. And then also thinking about, several of us going and doing a meetup before or after. So if you want to reach out on that front, I'd like to organize that as well. So hope this was inspiring to you, gave you some ideas. And if the event is interesting to you as well, hope to see you there, meet you there in June 2020, Relentless Martha's Vineyard. All right, guys, that's it for this week. Next week, we have somebody coming up that I think I have mentioned and promised to you around concentration, positivity, productivity, mindfulness, just kind of being present and tools for productivity around that based on his own experience, his own challenges, his own life. Cam Knight, coming up next week in episode 39. Cam Knight on the Man of Mastery podcast. See you guys next week.